Hello and welcome to this Microsoft Teams Chalk Talks, Supercharge Key Workflows with Apps in Teams. My name is Abby Sweeney, I'm a Program Manager within Teams Engineering, and I'm going to take you through this session today. So, a couple of learning objectives of what I hope you're able to get out of this session. So the aim of this session is to understand scenarios and user personas which are key for integrating applications into Teams. I also want you to realise the potential of third-party application integration within Teams as a platform and identify those scenarios within your organisation. So first, let's jump a little bit into apps in Teams and let's set the base to understand the types of applications that we currently have present in Teams at the moment. So when we think of Teams in three main buckets. We have Microsoft applications. Microsoft applications are first-party applications, which you're probably aware of outside of Teams already. Things like Word, Excel, Power BI, PowerPoint. These are all first-party applications that you can integrate into Microsoft Teams out of the box. They're there ready for you to use. We then have this middle bucket, and this is where we're going to spend the majority of our time. So the third-party applications, think of things like Salesforce, Kronos, YouTube, Trello, multiple different third-party applications that you're probably already using in the browser, in the desktop, which you might not even realize you can integrate within Teams. And we have over 700 of these third-party applications available currently, and we're aiming to keep going at such a pace to increase the number of third-party applications that will be released to be integrated into the platform. We then have this third bucket, which is the custom applications. And this is really where we have that unlimited possibilities piece. So when we think of custom applications, we think about them in three different branches. The first one being the Power Platform. So Power Platform are low and no code applications. Think of Power BI for dashboarding, Power Apps for sort of drag and drop applications, Flow for automating workflows in your organization. And this is really where you're able to create applications with very little development knowledge. So as I said, low and no code, so very little development experience needed, but you're able to make custom applications to integrate within your organization and to integrate within Teams. We then have this middle branch, which is the app templates. Again, these are low and no code applications. And this is essentially where we as Microsoft have created app templates which you're able to use as a base and build on top of to customize towards your organization. So a good example is HR support. You could have an HR support bot built off our app template. So you take our app template for HR support and you're able to sort of customize and build, use the jargon that is used within your organization just by using this app template. And then of course we have this third branch, the built from scratch. This is where you're able to create a completely LOB application from the bottom up. You, of course, need a lot more development knowledge and experience to build an application from scratch as you do from an app template or a Power Platform. However, we still do obviously offer this option to build an application completely from scratch and integrate it into your platform. So looking into the third-party applications, this is really where we're going to focus our time in this session. Third-party applications are a great way to bring together processes and services that you might already be working with outside of Teams already. Some examples of some third-party applications easily integrated within Teams are here. So you can think of them broken down by vertical. So a big one that we see applications integrated within Teams is the project management piece. Being able to have that single pane of glass through Teams to help employees access information, work on projects together. So we're really using that, bringing together all of your applications with ready to use applications easily within Teams. And as I mentioned on the slide prior, there are a lot of these third-party applications available for integration. So as I mentioned, there's currently over 700 and this is increasing every week. And it's an opportunity to help improve your processes and workflows based on your needs. We have applications built for Teams to support business processes such as communication, customer service, design, DevOps, sales, project management, and a lot more. And in addition to that comprehensive list, new apps are constantly being published to the Teams platform. Now, 3P applications can help fill a lot of different gaps and workflows. They fit through a lot of app scenarios across a lot of different verticals. And the types of business solution opportunities around teamwork in these applications are pretty much endless. So you can see here from airline to retail to healthcare, we have a lot of different industries and functions that can help fit in with these application pieces. And you can envision with your organization, your customers, you can understand the processes and business teamwork needs and connect teams to the tools and services that they use every day to help fully realize the team's value. Now, the purpose of this slide is to sort of get your juices flowing, get you thinking about what your customers need. And you can see that we've split it up by industry vertical and also by horizontal. So even within each vertical in an industry, we have different horizontals like project management and service desks. So we're going to sort of dig into a couple of these scenarios later on in the session and show you how these third-party applications can really be valuable in these different scenarios. Before I do that, I just want to quickly cover a couple of third-party application considerations and FAQs. So the first one, will third-party applications cost money? So a lot of third-party applications within Teams are free, or they leverage existing enterprise licenses that you probably already have. And what I mean by that is you may be using Salesforce, for example. If you're using Salesforce in the browser or in the desktop, then you'll already have that enterprise license. So you can integrate that within Teams without any extra cost. So the way that we sort of think about integrating third-party applications is start with what you already have, start with what you know, start with what your employees are using, integrate them within Teams, get them used to it, and then start integrating other pieces. So the ones that you're already using, you most likely already have the licenses for and won't have to use any more money to buy them. The next one, can the application send my confidential files and information outside of the organization? So applications do get access to some basic personal information, but in terms of files, the application will only have access to files that you explicitly send to the service. And actually, on the next question, is there a talk that focuses more on app management and security concerns? Yes, there is. If we go to this link down here, aka.ms/Teams talks, we have some security and management sessions under the App with Teams fundamentals. So that's where we actually really delve into a lot of this. So what can your applications access? What files can they access? What does the data sharing look like? We go into all of that in this session. So if you are interested in that and want to see more around the security and management piece, please go to aka.ms/Teams talks, and you'll be able to see that Apps with Teams fundamental session that you can get all of that information out of. Okay, so let's jump into the scenarios. As I mentioned a couple of slides ago, I'm going to show you 3 different scenarios that we often see within the workplace. I want to show you how some key third-party applications can fit into these scenarios. So firstly, I've chosen incident management. Incident management is a really common scenario within a lot of organizations, small or large, where we see the opportunity to automate processes and also use technology to sort of make the processes more efficient. So when we think of the use cases in incident management, a lot of IT's time is spent reacting to problems, reacting to tickets, having that queue monitoring sort of role there. And if we think about it, all organizations need IT support, whether you're small, whether you're large. It's a really common use case, especially as we've seen over the last sort of 18 months with the pandemic. Remote working has required a lot more IT support. So it's a really, really common case. And a lot of common issues that we can see sort of bubbling up within organizations can actually be easily solved without IT management. They don't necessarily need an IT sort of a human to say, this is what you need to do. Often these issues are all the same or are all very similar. So we can automate those processes to give back time to IT. So let's see how we can do that. Let's have a look at a couple of third-party help desk applications that we already have. So think of things like ServiceNow, Jira, Zendesk. You're probably already using some of these. So these are all applications which allow you to sort of engage with your organization, your employees, to help sort of track, monitor, and troubleshoot issues that you're seeing in your enterprise. I'm going to use ServiceNow because it's a very common one that we see a lot of our organizations using. So let's have a look at this scenario. We have a user, Megan. Megan is having issues with her mail client. It's acting slowly, but she can access other websites and applications. So she knows that her connection is okay, her internet connection. So she's not really sure why her mail client is acting slowly. And so normally, if we were in the office, if we were at home, whatever, she would have to open a ticket with ServiceNow, with IT through ServiceNow. She'd wait for them to help her out, and then that's sort of the process. But let's see how we can do it here. So I'm gonna have a look here. So we're in the Teams client, as you can see, and I have the ServiceNow bot installed. So as an end user, I'm Megan. I'm just going to start the conversation. I'm going to say hello. So the ServiceNow agent has said, hello, what's wrong? How can I help you? And here we have a list of the different topics that I can choose. And these are all aligned, customized to what our organization has put. So I'm going to use email issues demo, and I'm going to submit because I've got email issues. Now the bot has come back and said, what is the issue? So I've got a couple of options. I'm going to choose mail client is slow. So it's given me a thing that I can try. Try closing and reopening your email client. So I've done that and it hasn't worked. So I'm going to click no, that hasn't worked. And again, the virtual agent comes back, gives me a couple of things. They're not very useful either. So I'm going to click no, that hasn't helped. And then it will let me open up a support ticket. So that's where I can then open a support ticket, and the ServiceNow will open it and I can track that. Now I'm going to show you how I can do that, what would happen the other way. So that was a no. I'm going to start the conversation again. Hello, the agent comes back, asks what my problem is, and I choose the email issues again, submit that. And then this time, instead of clicking no when it comes through with mail client, I'm going to click yes. So try closing and reopening your email client. Did that, it worked. I can click yes, and that's my issue solved. So you can see how quickly that sort of interaction happened, as opposed to having to call up the help desk, log a ticket, wait for IT to get back to me in my queue. I've just been able to do that within 30 seconds, a minute, much quicker. So how does this help in summary? What are we seeing here? Well, not only have we saved a lot of time for the end user, we've also saved a lot of time for IT. So automating this help desk support has allowed a lot more IT resources to be freed up to focus on more impactful projects for the organization. And by doing that, you're also going to reduce cost for IT because we're not going to need as many help desk people. We're not going to need as many sort of workers because you're spending more time on the impactful projects that you actually need, and we're automating that queue flow. So that's a really simple, easy way to start using Teams and showing value. The second scenario that I'm going to go into is modernized work. So modernized work, again, especially over the last 18 months, has really increased. The world has completely shifted this year. There have, of course, been people who have worked remotely for the whole of their career or some of their career already, but of course that has increased a lot this year. So we're seeing a lot more usage collaborating in Teams, whereas pre-COVID, we were seeing organizations moving to Teams, using it for calling and meeting, but not necessarily using it for collaboration. Now we're relying on it much more. We need to be able to collaborate more and make it more seamless. So we want to see how can we use Teams for modernized work to collaborate, manage projects, etc. So let's look at stand-up applications. Stand-up applications or stand-up meetings are traditionally used by sort of project managers, engineering teams, and we usually see it happen where we have everyone in the office, they go into a room and they all whiteboard. We have a stand-up meeting and we whiteboard. So that's usually how we see stand-up meetings go. And we can think of a couple of stand-up applications you may or may not be using already. Things like Agile Poly, Scrum Genius, and Decisions. There are a couple of third-party applications. And usually within stand-up meetings, as I mentioned, we have whiteboarding applications. So we have whiteboarding, they're usually physical, but we also have the ability through things like MindMeister, Mural, Freehand, we have the ability to bring these whiteboards into Teams. So let's have a look at how these applications, both stand-up and whiteboarding applications, can help us collaborate with our teams in Teams. So in this scenario, we have Vivek, and Vivek is the manager of the development team. He has been noticing that since we've been working remotely, he's not able to see, or he hasn't really been seeing as much communication on work with agile approaches. He's having issues communicating daily tasks. He doesn't really know what's the best way to do it. So that's his sort of struggle. And then we have Pradeep and Adele, who are in Vivek's team. They are both developers, and they are sort of like the stand-up meetings that they used to have in the office, because they were able to collaborate and help each other if there were any blockers. So let's see how we can help this by using Agile Poly and Mural. So we're again in the Teams client, and we have this Vivek's engineering team. Within that, I have Agile Poly as a tab. And I'm going to sign in with my Microsoft account. So it's just using Azure Active Directory authentication. And in here, we can see that I have a couple of different polls already. So I'm going to start a new one. I'm going to enter the name of my team. So I'm going to call it Vivek's Daily Stand-Up. So we can see here, I'm just going to type it in, Vivek's Daily Engineering Stand-Up. I can then enter a message to my team. So I'm just going to put something like, let us know what you're struggling with or what you're working on, whether we need any help with anything. So I'm going to pop that into the message to my teams and how we can also help each other. I can then look at what the audience is. So I want it general because that's who's in my team. And then I can decide the recurrence. So I'm going to recur it every day, Monday through Friday. I'm going to choose the start time of the stand-up. So I'm going to use midday. And I'm going to see how long the stand-up is. So I'm just going to put it for an hour. People can take an hour to reply to it. I can also set a reminder. So I'm notifying users 20 minutes that 20 minutes before it ends. So I can then ask some questions. So here you can see that there's some questions already asked, and I'm also going to just add a new one here. So I am going to ask one more question here. And the question I'm going to just put in, let's just say, what could I do better to assist as a manager? So now we have a couple of different questions in there. Some of them are open-ended. Some of them are multiple choice. And with those multiple choice ones, you can see that I have an extra question in there as well, question comments. So here we can see it, Vivek's Daily Engineering Stand-Up. So it will be scheduled every midday. I can see what did you accomplish since the last check-in, what are you working on next, are there any issues blocking, and if so, then you get asked another question. So I'm going to send that out. So you can see here, I've got it in here, and I've got a stand-up. So you can see I've got a little thing there. Now I'm in Adele. So I've moved to Megan's account now. So I go to mine, I see that I've got a new notification in my engineering team. So here I can see that Vivek has started this daily engineering stand-up. So I can either do it from the general posts page, or I can come onto the Agile Poly to respond. So I'm going to go back just to the general page just to show you how I can do it from here. And I'm going to start filling in the stand-up. So let us know what you're working on, whether you're struggling, and how we can help each other. So what did you accomplish since the last check-in? I'm going to say that I finished the code review for the last version, the version 3. What are you working on next? I'm going to say that I'm doing the code review for the next version and also doing the code fix. If I can get my typing right, there we go, and working on the code review. Cool, okay. So do I have any blockers? I'm going to say that I am blocked, and I'm then going to answer the question, how can the issues be resolved? And I can just put whatever, so need help debugging the version. So I'm going to pop this in there, give a little bit more context around what I need help with, if I can get my typing correct. And then what could Vivek do better? I'm just going to say I like the new stand-up because I do. Cool. So once I've finished this little last question, I'm then going to submit the response, and then Vivek will be able to see my response. Cool. So now I've done that, submit the response, and I can see now that there's been one completion. There we go. Cool. I can also view all responses, so I can see other people's responses as well. Now I'm back as Vivek. So Vivek can see that he's got a notification too. So he comes in and he can see, oh, brilliant, someone's completed, it's Megan. And I can come into Agile Poly application 2 and see the exact same view. So I can see it's currently open and when it will close. I can see the different answers for each question. And I can see that Megan is blocked. So I can see that she's been blocked and I can see what's wrong with her. So she needs help debugging the version 4. She can't figure out why it's not working. So Vivek now thinks, okay, how can I help this? He thinks in the office, I would be doing a whiteboarding session with my team. So I think that's what I should do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a mural. So mural is a whiteboarding application. So I'm going to add it into the team and I'm going to create a new mural to help. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. The workspace is already there because we're in the team. We're calling it Vivek's room, and I can just, name it whatever I want. So I'm going to put version 4 debugging. You're then able to choose a template if you want a template, or you can just use your own. You don't have to use a template. So I'm going to save that. And once I've saved that, you will then see it pop into the team. So it's loading up now. You saw that it was posted into the channel, and I can also just see it here. So we've got the mural, we've got the whiteboard in the Teams channel now, and I can just, make some changes here. So I'm going to say version 4 debugging, and then the rest of the team can come in here and collaborate as well. So I might just add a little sticky note here and say, Megan, let us know what you need help with. Cool. So I've got that. I'm now going to jump back to Megan's account. So here I can see that Vivek has added this mural. Now that I'm in here, I can see, once it loads, I'll see that Vivek has given me a couple of instructions. How can I help? And I'm then able to, type what I need help with. Other users are able to come in here and do some collaborating, drop some photos, drop some, diagrams, whatever it is. So I can just say, need help with line 102. Is there something missing here? I can then add some titles. I can add comments. I can add connectors. There's a whole load of different things I can do here. So that's really the benefit of Mural and Teams together. We're able to collaborate real time in meetings and channels, everything. So what have we done here? What is the result of this? Well, as you can see, this is really, really increasing our efficiency. Rather than having to wait until we get onto a meeting and having everyone there to go through all of this information, we can simply pop out a poll to really gain sort of how everyone is feeling about whatever it is. So whatever is in the poll. We're also able to then collaborate a lot more easily. Whiteboarding applications are a great way to collaborate virtually together. And I know that we're, currently everyone's working from home and this is a great way to collaborate, but think about when we go back into the office. A lot of people often work, or a lot of teams often work in different offices, in satellite offices, remote working. So there's a lot of people all over the place. So even when we're back in the office, these types of applications and polls are really still going to be beneficial. So our second use case for modernized work is human resources. Human resources automation is really a common scenario. Things like employees needing an easy way to find tax information, to find benefit information, to find holiday information. And every organization has a different way of doing it. But this is a great scenario for integrating HR applications into Teams and automating it, similar to what we did with ServiceNow earlier. So let's see how we can do it. So think of a couple of people management applications, things like ADP, Workday, Salesforce, and Salesforce is more of a sales management, people management, but still the same thing. And we want to see how can we integrate all of these into Teams for more efficient processes. So in this scenario, I have Patty. Patty is the manager of human resources, and she wants to look into how we can implement some better tools. Nesta is the operations manager, and within his team, he has Johanna. Johanna is in the operations team. She's the operation lead, and she loves being productive, but also knows that she needs to have a better, healthier work-life balance. So in this scenario, we're going to be using Workday. So Johanna has helped launch this new product for her company. She's put in a really good stint of work over the last couple of months. And she's now thinking she needs some time off to recharge her batteries. But she doesn't really know how to do it. It's a really sort of convoluted process that she's not really sure how to check whether she's got enough vacation and then how to request it. So let's take a look into Workday. So here you can see on the right-hand side that we have the Workday bot within Microsoft Teams. So Johanna needs to check firstly how much time off she has. So you can see here, she's initiated a conversation with the bot. How much time off do I have? And the bot has come back, and again, notice that it's very conversational, very similar to the ServiceNow bot. And the Workday bot has come back and said, okay, you have the following allowances. So you have zero floating holiday, but you do have some paid time off. So she has 37 hours of paid time off. She also is able to see what she currently has available or what she currently has inputted as holiday. So that's great. She can see that she has time off. Brilliant. So once she's seen that she has enough hours, she now wants to take time off. She wants to input the request. So she's going to put take time off. The Workday bot comes back and says, brilliant, what dates do you want? What's the start date? What's the end date? And Johanna comes back and says December 1st to 3rd. Again, you can see how informal this is and how easily the Workday bot picks this up. Workday then comes back and says, okay, so you want to do December 1st to 3rd, you're going to use your vacation hours. Is that correct? Would you like to submit it, edit it, or cancel the request? So Johanna clicks submit and she submitted her request. Then we can go to Nesta. So Nesta is obviously her manager. He's able to come in, he sees a notification, he's able to come in and see that Johanna has requested time off. He proceeds to review her request and responds in the app with approving her time off. And Johanna's really excited that she's had her time off approved so she can go on her vacation. What are the results here? Well, everything, as you just saw, was inside the Teams application. So it makes it a lot easier for employees to access this critical information. A lot of people all complain whenever we think we have engagements with our customers around how can we make Teams easier or sort of process it easier for our users through Teams. One of the biggest things is access to information. Everything's everywhere. There's too many places to find information. We need one easy place to find it all, and that's where Teams is really, really useful here. So employees can easily complete, common HR workflows with a few clicks, get answers to stuff really quickly, and find documents that they previously couldn't. Good summary for Modernized Work. With a lot more teams working remotely, organizations are looking for better ways to be productive, to be efficient. And whether it's, development teams, whether it's HR teams, whether it's project management, we can leverage a lot of different applications in Teams to improve the Modernized Work environment. So let's take a look at scenario 3, employee engagement. So a couple of use cases here in the employee engagement piece. So firstly, employee sentiment. A lot more employees are working remotely, as we've mentioned, and organizations are looking for ways to understand how our employees are doing. Are they happy? How's their well-being? We've seen a sort of quite a high increase in users and employees not taking time off because everyone's at home. However, that then becomes sort of a little bit detrimental to people's mental health, to people's physical health. So employees are trying to encourage employees to take time off. The employee engagement piece. How can we make sure that employees are engaged, that they are interacting with our organisation, that they understand what the organisation wants? There's been a lot of research around happy employees lead to better work. So it's really in the employer's sort of best interest to make sure that their employees are happy and that they are engaged. So a couple of ways that we can do this are through surveys. So polls and survey applications. A lot of sort of really common ones that we use are Polly, Tiny Polls, and SurveyMonkey. I'm sure that a lot of people have heard of a couple of these or are already using them. And in terms of employee recognition apps, a couple of others that you may or may not have heard of, Achiever's Disco Karma. These are really great applications to basically see very valuable information around how your employees are working, how they're feeling, how they're, how they are engaged with the company and what could they do better. So in this scenario, I'm going to use Lynn's team. So Lynn is a customer success manager, and she has a couple of people in her team, Diego and Deborah. And she has a couple of concerns because she feels like her employees aren't feeling appreciated and wants to improve the employee engagement piece. Diego is working from home due to the pandemic, and he started to feel disconnected recently due to the working from home piece. Now, Diego has been struggling a little bit, as I said, with working remotely. Their team, Lynn's team, was really interactive in the office. They used to do a lot of activities together, used to go to lunch together. So he's really missing that in-person social interaction. And he decides that he's going to talk to his boss, Lynn, about his concerns. So Diego and Lynn have a really good conversation, and Lynn sort of thinks, well, if there's one person in my team thinking like this, then there's probably going to be more. So Lynn wants to think of a way to implement some sort of activity to interact virtually so that her team can stay connected. And Diego suggests, well, why don't we create a survey for the team? Let's see how we can determine how everyone else is feeling, how they're handling remote working. And Lynn thinks this is a great idea. And she knows that her company already uses SurveyMonkey. So you can see here we're in the Teams client and we're in the SurveyMonkey application. So Lynn starts to create a survey. So she clicks survey and she already sees that there's a couple of templates and there's actually a working from home template. So she thinks, brilliant, let's use that. And there's clearly other people who are feeling the same. So she uses the working from home template. There's a couple of different questions already there, but she's able to edit it, add her own, delete questions, whatever she wants to do. And she decides to make the survey anonymous because she feels that people will be more open with their feelings if she makes it anonymous. So she makes it anonymous and then she sends it out. Deborah, who's also in Lynn's team, sees the survey posted in Teams and is really relieved because she's been struggling working from home as well, but she didn't really want to tell anyone. So she's grateful that it's anonymous and she's able to share her feelings without her team knowing it's her. So she fills out the survey and is feeling it better that Lynn, cares about their well-being. Lynn is able to then see all of the results within Teams, so she can see what are the biggest challenges, she can see how the team are trending, and a lot of these results are showing that Lynn's employees are missing that in-person interaction and are lacking motivation. So she thinks, how can we make this better? And one of the things that she realizes is we have this application called Karma, and Karma is where we're able to give employees recognition to improve that employee morale. So she adds Karma into her group, and she looks at a couple of different ways that she can do this. So she can track all of the performance, the reward excellence through the app dashboard, and she gives a couple of incentives. So things like books, things like dinner, things like gift cards. So she's able to see, what users would most likely want and how she can recognize them. And from an end user perspective, from Diego and Deborah, who are her employees, they love the new employee recognition program. They feel a lot more sort of wanted, they feel a lot more engaged and motivated to do the work. So this is brilliant. It's Lynn's happy that her team feel happy, and she's able to sort of keep track of how everyone's feeling throughout the year. So what are the results of this? Well, as you can see, we're able to see insight into the well-being of the team just by using these survey and pulse applications. We can set up recurring pulse applications so that we're getting a weekly pulse of how everyone's feeling. We can also see the improved employee engagement. As I mentioned at the start, if we're having better morale and better engagement within the team, better happiness within the team, we're going to see better engagement and therefore better work. So in summary, in this sort of modern world with so many people working remotely, working from home, and maybe feeling a little bit down and they're not seeing all of their friends and their colleagues as much, we're still able to keep that engagement up. We're still able to keep that morale up by implementing simple things like the pulse apps, the surveys, and the recognition programs. Okay, so where do you go from here? What do we do next? Well, a couple of key takeaways. I hope that you've been able to understand what these application integrations are within Teams. Think about a couple of scenarios within your own organization and understand then what third-party applications may fit into those scenarios. I hope that you really understand the value of apps in Teams and are able to go and implement this into your organization going forward. A couple more resources that will be useful for you. I already mentioned this one earlier, the aka.ms/Teams Chalk Talks. This is the link to the handout. So if you go to aka.ms/Supercharge Teams, you'll be able to download this whole slide deck that I've been through so that you can share it with your team, you can refer back to it, and you don't have to remember all of this information. Other than that, thank you so much for attending. I hope you found the session useful. Please let us know our feedback in the comments. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day wherever you are. Thanks very much.